Now, you're a very funny guy, but you're also obviously somebody with a soul, somebody who thinks a lot, somebody with some intellect, somebody who cares deeply about the kinds of issues that face us in this country. And, there are other people out there who are also doing, politically aware comedy of some sort or another. I'm wondering who in that sort of, I guess if you can call it political comedy world, who do you really admire? Who do you think is great? Who do you respect? Who do you like hanging out with? Who do you watch?
Okay, well, I mean, if you're talking big names, I think Chris Rock doesn't. He obviously gets credit as a mainstream comic and an amazing comic, but he doesn't get enough credit for the things he said, especially back in like Bigger and Blacker, those days in the late 90s. I mean, some of the stuff he says, like for instance, that they'll never cure AIDS because they make too much money off the medicines. I mean, those type of sentiments need to get out there, and they need to get out there by comedians because we have freedom of speech and we can be put on television saying what we believe. And so I think he deserves credit for that. He's probably my favorite comic or one of my favorite comics, and then there's others who have gotten less credit, but at least a large amount, like Bill Hicks and Doug Stanhope is amazing, and so some of these, they're not allowed. Doug Stanhope's not allowed to do his stand-up on Letterman or something, but it's because of what he's saying, and he's got amazing stuff to say. So I love those guys. And then there's people that haven't become big yet, but I'm a good friends with Jamie Kilstein, who's a great political comic, and people should check him out. So there's a lot of good. I mean, there's not enough, but there are some good political comics out there.
You said something interesting there. You can kind of go back even to Shakespearean times, and there's sort of this trope of the fool. And the idea is you can say anything as long as you're joking, as long as we're pretending that it's comedy. And that's always kind of been true. A society, especially a society under stress, sometimes the best place to look is at the comedians for the serious commentary. And, these days, some of the best news show on TV is often The Daily Show, which is interesting and sad. Do you worry that maybe, while that puts you in a kind of a privileged position, but do you think it undercuts the seriousness of your message that the only people we're really listening to are the fools, and it would be nice if we would take people who thought this way more seriously? Pardon me for not being able to get that question out more quickly.
No, yeah, I mean, you make a lot of sense. I agree with you. Thank God for The Daily Show. Thank God there's, even though it's in the form of humor, that there's a show that shows the hypocrisy. Certainly, I wish there was a network that just 24 hours played Daily Show-esque clips of like, well, Bush said this, and then a month ago he said this, and it's completely the opposite. McCain said this, and it conflicts with this. Like if we could get that knowledge out there, it'd be great. But I think, on the other hand, thank God there are at least the comedians. Thank God that there are some people to speak the truth in this form, and I mean that's the problem, is that a lot of the comedians become co-opted by the big networks, and the network says, well, we can have you on, we can give you the break of a lifetime, but just don't say this, and don't say this, and don't say this. And I was performing these little things producing these little things called Pranktivism, which had a message. They had a strong message. One episode was about sweatshop labor. One episode was about fast food and how it's making our children sick and fat and everything else. And the network, which is a great network in general, said to me, oh, it's great, we want to use you, this is amazing stuff, this is what we're all about. And then slowly but surely it was like, take this out, blur every company's name, don't say McDonald's, blur McDonald's out, don't say the word McDonald's, say fast food. And eventually, what are you left with? You're left with something that makes no point, calls no one out. And so eventually I had to just scrap the whole project, and it's sad. I wanted to do it. It's a great thing, I think, but that's where we stand. And I think you've got to keep your message in there.
You're still young, and I think it's the younger you are, the easier it is to really stick to your guns principle-wise. But do you think you'll get older and you'll get tired of starving and perhaps being marginalized? Do you think there'll come a time when you're like, okay, Maybe I should take care of myself a little more. How hard do you think it's going to be as you mature as a performer to stick to those guns, to stay true to the kinds of ideals that you very obviously have now? Do you think maybe someday you'll have to sell out?
I think the key is to not have kids. Because once you have them, then you got to take care of them, and it's not about you anymore.
But that's a very good observation. I mean, having a family, it does change things because it's no longer about you.
No, I have comedian friends who had a kid, and all of a sudden their priorities change, and I understand that. It's not about you; it's about him or her. But I think that if someone were to say to me, we just want you to do these 5 lines in this movie, and I may not like the movie may be crap, but if they were to say, we'll pay you this much, and I think to myself, well, then I'll get to keep performing stand-up. I won't have to worry about getting paid by that. I could understand doing that in order to keep my stand-up life going. I can't understand quitting the stand-up life to do that. I can't understand, just saying, oh, well, forget all those values, forget all those things I was saying. I'm just going to, movies have a lot of money in them, so I'm going to do these now. I can't imagine doing that. So I think I'll definitely keep in this business, Well,
that's good to hear. Now, we know that you're touring. You technically live in New York, but you're not there a lot. You're doing a lot of colleges, universities. Tell people where to look for you in the coming days and weeks and months.
The easiest thing is to look me up at leecamp.net, which is my website. I'm working on it. It's new, so bear with me. But leecamp.net and my MySpace and all that stuff has my schedule on it. So anybody wants to check me out, see if they're coming to my city, all that stuff. I have a big show coming up on September 18th in New York City. I'm filming a new DVD at Comics Comedy Club, so 9:30 p.m. Please, everybody, check that out.
Can't wait. Big thanks to Lee Camp. Again, great set tonight. We're at the DNC, the big tent all around us here, kind of wrapping up. I'm Sam Smith, Scholars and Rogues again. Lee, thanks a lot. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Sam.
Have a good one.